If you feel sensitivities when you eat eggs, the eggs don't agree with your body, or you are vegan, I'm gonna give you in this video the top vegan egg replacements, but also low carb, so you prevent feeding the opportunistic microbes in your gut and spiking your insulin levels. But before I go through all of this, I want to tell you first why most of the people, they have egg sensitivities. Egg causes a lot of food allergies, and the part from the egg that usually causes the most of the food allergies is albumin. Albumin is a protein that is in the egg whites, So maybe you eat egg yolk, you're not gonna feel as bad as when you eat egg whites. But even if you wouldn't have specifically an egg allergy, you can still react to eggs if you have any other food sensitivities, like for example, gluten, dairy. That can cause cross-reactivity also when you incorporate eggs. So it's why it's very important to identify which is the root cause. Also, if you suffer from histamine intolerance. Histamine intolerance is a condition when we produce more histamine than the one that we can break down. Histamine is a molecule produced in our body against anything, like when there is an allergic reaction. That's why you may have like mucus or running nose or itchy in your body. So histamine causes that problem. Also, we use it for digestion. It's going with the digestive acid. So we do need histamine for some functionalities in our body. However, when the body produces more histamine than the histamine that is broken down by the enzymes that break down histamine, and that's including DAO, diamine oxidase, then we end up with histamine intolerance. And when we end up with histamine intolerance, eggs don't have histamine by itself, but they can cause more histamine release. Also, if you suffer from candida overgrowth, SIBO, which is a small intestine bacteria overgrowth, that can also cause the histamine release. And when we get histamine release, then we can react to eggs. So some of the symptoms that can be associated with eating eggs, if they don't agree very well with your body, can be running nose, skin conditions like rash in your skin, for example, or you have difficulty breathing, or you have digestive problems, mostly bloating, like when you eat scrambled eggs or any other egg on a different form, and then you feel bloated, mostly like after you eat it or even 3 hours later. So that is why I wanted to bring you to my lab today to tell you some of the best substitutes for eggs. And I'm gonna put in the comments a link to download this chart. This is a very handy chart that you can put in your refrigerator or in your cookbooks that I have designed with each measurement that you have to use to replace the egg with different type of egg replacements, how you use them, and in which type of food you use them. Depends if it's for bread, cakes, muffins, brownies, for whatever you want to use your eggs. So be sure you download your free copy of this chart. And so let's start talking about the best egg replacement. Why we use eggs when we are baking or we are cooking? We use eggs because they are really good for moist, and they are really good for binding, for gluing things together. If you are not sensitive to eggs, ideally you want to buy a beautiful pasture-raised free-range egg with a very nice egg yolk, orange, like bright orange. And then if you want to try with egg yolks instead and removing the egg whites, just in case that is the part of the egg that is causing the sensitivity, I would use for 1 large egg 2 egg yolks. But then substituting for the vegan, let's start talking. And as I said, these vegan options are gut friendly if you suffer from gut inflammation, for microbes overgrowth, you have histamine intolerance, and they are low carb friendly. They are not spiking your insulin levels too much. So applesauce or pumpkin puree are two very good options to add moist. If you are looking for pancakes, muffins, cakes to add moist to those goodies, the green apple puree or the pumpkin puree are very good. However, and this is a big red flag, if you suffer from SIBO, small intestine bacteria overgrowth, you have to keep an eye on apples and you have to keep an eye on pumpkin because they have FODMAPs, are a type of carbohydrate that some people are not able to digest, so it gets fermented by the yeast and the bacteria if you have overgrowth. So you have sensitivity to FODMAPs, you go through SIBO right now, you cannot use apple or pumpkin as a moist replacement in your goodies, okay? But if you don't suffer from them, these are good options for an egg replacement when you want to add moist. Another replacement also very good for pancakes, brownies, cookies, muffins, that is very good for binding, my favorite, for gluing everything together, are flax seeds and chia seeds. If you have diverticulitis, diverticulosis, you want to grind them first to be sure that you are going to eliminate them well. And also listen to your body, because people with really severe histamine intolerance may not do very well with these two, but this is optional. Not every person's body is the same. So you grind your chia, you grind your flax seeds, either way, and you use 1 tablespoon with 3 tablespoons of warm water, or 2.5, to make your vegan egg. The other one is nut butter, and I just found a Costco new item and super happy to see it. This macadamia nut butter, dry roasted macadamia is the only ingredient. That's what you want to see, dry roasted, because dry roasted means it has eliminated phytic acid, which is a mineral chelator, causes mineral deficiency, blocks your digestive enzymes, and causes inflammation. So nut butter can be almond butter, macadamia nut butter, any nut butter of your choice. It's also a very good glue, and I just used it the other day to make scones instead of 1 egg or 2 eggs I was calling the recipe, and it was a very good glue. They didn't break apart. It was very, very good. The other one is powders. So for powders, we can use baking powder. Baking powder is really good for raising. If you are cooking something like a cake that you want it to grow, to rise, so baking powder or baking soda with vinegar. So either way, or baking powder or baking soda with vinegar, that you put together with oil and water, make it a perfect addition for something that you want it to grow. For a recipe. But also, if you want something to be crunchy, like for example crackers, you can just use water and oil. That's basically it. Like when I make my almond flour crackers and I want them to be vegan, I substitute 1 egg with this. And my other favorite powder that is also very good, even if you are on a low-carb diet, there's a lot of discussion about that, but even if you are on a low-carb diet, arrowroot powder is also okay. Why is that? Because arrowroot is 50% resistant starch. And what is resistant starch? Resistant starch, and I have another video that you can go see over there in the channel. Resistant starch is a carb that passes the small intestine, is not broken down into glucose, goes to your large intestine to feed the bacteria. It's a prebiotic, so it's not spiking. So 50% of the arrowroot that we use is resistant starch. And the amount of arrowroot that you use in a recipe is barely anything compared to the rest of the macros. So it's okay to use it even on a low carb approach. And it's histamine friendly. So you will just mix your arrowroot with water to make 1 egg. Talking about powders that are binding, like baking powder, baking soda, or arrowroot, I have to add psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is a fiber that helps bulking up stool and is really good for constipation. So how do I use my psyllium husk? I use it in recipes, for example, when I'm making bread, when I make the vegan French baguette that I have in my book, Ketorranean Diet Solution, I use psyllium husk, and that gives like a bready consistency. For recipes like bagels, bread, things like that, psyllium husk is a really good glue, the same as chia seeds or flax seeds, three of my favorites for gluing. Just a little bit of full fat coconut cream because it has the oil and the water in there. It's also very good for binding and also giving moist. I hope this has been helpful. I went through a lot of binders that you can start stocking in your pantry and are gonna give you a really healthy vegan alternative, low carb solution. If you are sensitive to eggs, you have histamine intolerance, microbe dysbiosis. Of course, if you want to incorporate eggs back, always the key is to work on those food sensitivities, work on your gut and heal your gut so you can incorporate eggs back. But otherwise, if you don't want to incorporate eggs, that's totally fine. There are many other healthy proteins out there, and these are very good alternatives. So remember, check the comments to download your free copy. And it's very, very handy. Put it in between your recipes, your recipe books, your refrigerator, just in there. So you always know how to substitute your eggs. So if you have enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet, so you are always aware of more new content to be able to heal your body with food as medicine. And thank you for watching.